The Power of Personalized Natural Medicine with Philly J. Lay. In this interview, we sit down with Philly J. Lay, a woman who has battled through years of chronic illness and grief after a near death medical procedure. She shares her inspiring journey of discovering the power of personalized natural medicine and how it has transformed her life. Philly believes that everything is connected and that healing ourselves can help heal the world. Join us as we explore the miracles of the body and the power of the mind and learn what we can do to start our healing journey. Welcome to the Wellness Driven Life Show, where you're about to go on a wellness driven ride. I'm pleased to introduce you to our guest today. Let me tell you a little bit about her. Philly is the host of the #1 podcast, The Wellness Way with Philly J. Lay, which catapulted being in the top 2.5% of global podcasts. She is the author of the Natural Wellness Journal, an EFT/matrix reimprinting practitioner, a Soma breathwork coach, and a longstanding advocate for our health and that of our planet. Please help me welcome Philly.
Hello, April. It's lovely to meet you. Thank you for having me on so much.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for being on the Wellness Driven Life Show. And such an honor with you having such an incredible podcast yourself.
Oh, thank you. It's all been a bit of a whirlwind, actually. I'm a bit of a woman on a mission, and I just decided that it was time to get my podcast out. So I just went for it.
I think that's how it goes, doesn't it? You just go for it. And, tell me what you think. Do you feel like as you go on that journey and you just make the jump, the leap of faith, it's with those incredible connections and we get to learn so much more from having our guests on the show?
Absolutely. I've had some extraordinary guests on the show. I mean, I opened with Dr. John Gray, who wrote Men Are From Mars, Women Are From
Yeah.
Venus, a very controversial episode, but it got me my first TikTok 1 million views when he spoke about how women needed to find a man and give up vibrators. So that went absolutely viral. And said if they didn't give up vibrators, they would put on weight, to which I politely said at the end, well, I haven't. But I've had Dr. Bruce Lipton on, and it's just what I'm learning on this journey, in the last 9 years of my life, learning what I've learned on my personal journey and having the great honor to talk to these people and share and learn information. It's wonderful. And, I don't know how you do 5 podcasts a week, April. I really don't, because it is such a lot of hard work, but it is so rewarding.
It is. And I think that's what keeps me going because of just that. It is very rewarding. So let's have the audience know a little bit about you. I mean, I read a very short descriptions of you, but please let us know. Tell us about you. Where did you start?
Oh, well, I suppose if I think about it, my journey started in childhood when I trained as a classical dancer. And in the art of classical ballet, you are never enough. And so I went on to have quite a lot of injuries that I now know were emotional injuries. But 9 years ago, just over 9 years ago, I had a spinal fusion and they missed my spine with the anesthetic and I nearly died. And
That
my
sounds like a little bit of pain, just this much, just a little.
Well, I was in a coma for 24 hours that I only found out about 4 years ago. I didn't know that for 24 hours my husband and children weren't allowed to come and see me.
Wow.
And my life wasn't saved by a surgeon that day. It was saved by the registrar of the hospital. And she stayed by my bed for 24 hours and just held my hand, apparently, and kept saying, "Come on, Philly, find your happy place. Where's your happy place? Take me to
Mm.
your happy place. Come on, my lovely." And after 24 hours, she phoned my husband and said, "I think you need to bring the children in now." And they were coming in to say goodbye. And my eldest daughter told me that when she looked at me in the bed in the coma, she just thought, "That's it. Mum's dead." But my children were my happy place. And I came round. And yes, I was alive, but I went through a terrible couple of years. I suffered hugely from post-traumatic stress disorder. They severed my nerves from the waist down as well. So I had virtually no feeling below my waist. And I used to sit
Mm.
there kind of sticking pins in and trying to feel my legs. And I basically took to my bed for 2 years with severe post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, and lots of chronic diseases kept popping up and all
Mm.
diseases.
You mean
Uh,
you are activating those right and left, huh?
Absolutely. They're just everything's going on in my body. And there's a frozen shoulder, migraines, and I mean, it just, vomiting if I ate certain foods, and I just couldn't really stop crying. And
Mm.
I mean, my daughter turned 13 years old. My eldest daughter turned 13 years old over this period of time. And I was in such a bad state that I didn't even go downstairs and cut her birthday cake with her.
Wow.
And if you know the love of a mother for her child, not to celebrate your firstborn turning a teenager was heartbreaking for me. But there was nothing in me that could move. I was just in a bad place, a really, really bad place. And then one day I found a tumor in my throat. I just kind of looked in the mirror and noticed this massive lump. Um, and I kind of thought, oh shit, I better go and see a doctor. So I went to see my GP and kind of ran through the last 2 years. And I ended up seeing 4 consultants in 4 days for various things going on in my body. But I kept saying to these consultants, is everything connected? Is it all connected?
Yeah.
And they don't know.
Nope.
They're not taught to connect the body. So they're kind of going, well, I'm just going to operate on your arm. I'm going to take the tumor out. I'm going to try and keep your thyroid, but I don't know if I can. We're going to do neurology. We're going to do, and I've just went, oh, and I had the tumor cut out, which in hindsight, I regret because I did lose half my thyroid. And what I know now kind of makes things like that almost irrelevant to me. But then I gave up Western medicine and I just went, enough, because I think it's connected. And I went on a journey to heal myself naturally. And I think with remarkably good effect.
Yeah, I mean, you look fabulous. You're doing all the things. You walk daily. You're able to, and absolutely exceptionally showing up after something like that. So I'm really looking forward to hearing more about what steps you took. I can relate on many levels. It was hard to listen to these authoritative figures, the doctors, when not everything they said was adding up or was right, or it was this doomsday end all that you're unwilling to accept, right?
Yeah.
And you start thinking there must be something more. There's something outside of all this.
Absolutely. And the worst thing with the doomsday, I mean, my tumor doctor said to me that if I wasn't on thyroxine, because obviously they were doing thyroid tests for about a year after the operation, and they couldn't stabilize my thyroid, and they said, you have to go on thyroxine, because I said, I don't want medication, please.
Right.
And they said, well, you have to, because you won't get out of bed again. You're just going to be tired, and you're going to have those crashes, and you will not survive a proper functional life without it. And I said, well, give me a year and I'll come back to you. And they said, well, as soon as you need us, come back. And I think they kind of thought I'd be through the door pretty quickly. But I wasn't having any of it.
So staying in all of these things that were happening with your body, your body obviously was screaming out, something's wrong. This isn't working. I'm going to give you all of these signs and signals until you get to the root cause of what you need to address in order to, thrive again, in order to evolve. And so let's go back a little bit. You said that in childhood you were in dancing, and that was kind of like you felt like you had to come into this perfectionist persona. And was there more that you found through your journey that really were coming to these, root cause, so to speak?
There was an awful lot. And as a child, from a very young age, I mean, as far back as I can remember, I always knew that my mother didn't want me. I was the last of 6 children, and she went to her doctor and she tried to abort me. And when she couldn't abort me, she tried to commit suicide. And with that, she was sent, because this is back in the early 1960s. And if you tried to commit suicide, you were put into an institution. Mum was sent to one called Littlemore in Oxford. And I didn't know how or what happened after that, but I know that I was born in a hospital, not the mental institution, and that I was brought back to our family home, where I grew up. And Mum used to joke about the fact that she tried to abort me and kill herself a lot. And she just used to say, oh my God, I can't believe I could do that, because you are so precious to me. And I have a little joke that pisses my sisters off, but I always say I was brought up an only child, and that really upsets my siblings. But I was the apple of her eye, and she did absolutely worship me, and we were incredibly close. But that trauma sits within your body, and it was something that was there. I've subsequently found out that while she was in the hospital, they gave her electric shocks. Ooh, and that's how my father got her released. And I've been back in the room with her and felt those electric shocks, which is why I discovered she'd had them. And I spoke to 2 of my sisters after that experience, which was a matrix reimprint experience. And I said to one of my sisters, did Mum have electric shocks in the hospital? And she went, oh, no, it was illegal then. And then my eldest sister phoned, and I said, do you know how Dad got Mum out a little more? And she said, yeah, no, that he found out they were giving her electric shocks and it was illegal. So he threatened to take them to court. And
that's amazing.
I brought you home. And I went out to the Matrix Day, and I was literally in this black room, and I didn't know it was the womb at first, as my mentor Penny took me into the Matrix. And then I just started jumping and shaking and scratching, and like uncontrollably scratching, because I could feel every one of those shocks.
Yeah. So, wow, I'm blown away. And not it does, of course, surprise me that things like that happen, even in the 60s, and sort of doesn't surprise me either. There are some negative things that happen, that's for sure. Very unfortunate. And so I want to know, because I actually don't know a lot about matrix reimprinting. I would love for you to go over what that is. Kind of give us a little detail on that.
Okay, so I don't talk about it a lot. I will have Carl Dawson, who created it, on the podcast one day. But why I don't talk about it a lot is because I try and talk about things that people can do for free. So I'm a tapper, I'm an EFT practitioner. And as I often say, it looks completely mad, but it works for absolutely everything. And
that's why there's bathroom stalls. You just go into the bathroom and do your little tapping away and recenter, and all is well.
Absolutely. But tapping, EFT, is basically acupuncture without the needles. And it is fantastic for dealing with all those triggers that we have in life. And we all have trauma in our lives, and we have big T's and we have little T's. And the little T's are just, kind of dropping the shopping, or getting a parking ticket, or getting ghosted on Tinder, or kind of anything like that. And that's
I like how you say that, the big T's and the little T's.
And then you've got the big T's, and the big T's are the really big traumas that affect you in your life. Losing somebody you love, whether it's a parent, or a sibling or a friend. And it's very important to know that grief must not be compared. And a lot of people think that their grief is greater than other people's griefs. And it's not. And over this period of time that I was ill, I also was suffering from a huge amount of grief. I lost, first of all, my sister to motor neurons disease, my mum to being poisoned by toxic food after she'd gone into a care home, my dear friend Sarah, who died of cancer, and my best friend and soulmate, Polly, who also had cancer. And so I'd suffered huge amounts of grief. And I'd lost my dad when I was kind of quite a bit younger, and my brother a year after my dad. So it is really important for people to know that grief cannot be compared. And because you're losing a friend, it doesn't mean it's any less than losing a parent. And that is just so important to take on. But these are massive traumas. Getting a divorce is a massive trauma. Moving house, is the third traumatic thing you can do. And for a lot of people, that comes with getting a divorce as well. So you're getting two massive
divorce, career change, relocating, death,
losing a job, and we've just gone through 3 years where I think we can all relate to those traumas, and losing a job, a home, a childhood, an education. It's all trauma. And so tapping, you actually work on the energy meridians of the body, and you just tap through, and you say to yourself, even though this is going on in my life, whatever it is, and then you set that up and go, I'm willing to love and accept myself. I completely love and accept myself. And if you can't say that, just say, I'm enough. And for a lot of people, you can't get to that. But you just keep tapping through these points, and you have SUD levels. Your SUDs from 0 to 10, 0 being nothing, so you wouldn't be tapping, 10 being the highest. And you feel this in your body, and you feel your SUD levels, and you can feel it working around your body, and it's called chasing the pain. And I've got a really funny story to tell on this, actually. So I started my journey with diet and nutrition because that was all I knew what to do. So, I gave up gluten, I gave up sugar, I gave up dairy, I did all of that. And then my marriage actually fell apart, and we announced that my marriage was over. And I'd put it up on Facebook on our wedding anniversary, actually. But I was in such a desperate place. I couldn't go on anymore. I was still in my bad place. And somebody who'd been a friend of mine many years earlier, 22 years to be precise, I hadn't seen her, saw the post, and she messaged me and said, I'm doing a course next month, and I think you should come. I think it will help you a lot. Can you send me your email? So I did, and she sent me a link, and I looked at the price, and I kind of thought, I don't know if I can afford that. Now, this is rule number one. the most important thing you can invest in yourself in is yourself. That,
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. And I have been through a shocking time, and it was something called EFT matrix reimprint, and I didn't know anything about it. And I was just about to say thank you, but no. And she sent me a message and she said, it's a gift. And when the universe gives you a gift, you take it. I went,
Mm.
oh, thank
Yeah.
you. And so I turned up at this training and everybody's sitting there tapping. And I'm just going, this is just crazy. Um, can, and I kind of thought, how do I get out of this? And I thought it would be really rude to get up and leave now. I can't do that to her. So I'll just phone in sick tomorrow, or I'll say one of the kids is sick or the dog's sick or something, but this is just stupid. I'm not sitting here bloody tapping. And I remember the time very precisely at 11 o'clock, I felt like I was being stabbed in my hip. And I screamed and screamed and screamed, and I fell on the floor, and I actually screamed at Penny, can you get me an ambulance? And then pains were going into my heart, and I really thought maybe I'm having a heart attack, or has somebody shot me and I didn't hear the bullet. I was in so much pain. And Penny calmly picked me up and she sat me on a chair in the middle of the room, and everybody sat there kind of while I'm screaming, just carrying on, tapping on themselves while Penny tapped on me. And I'm going,
wild.
can you get me an ambulance? For fuck's sake. I was absolutely distraught. But she tapped on me for 2 hours, and I could see and visualize this intense pain moving around my body. And she kept asking me the SUDS levels and saying, give it a color. What does it look like? What level is it? Where is it in your body? And it was roughly 2 hours, because we then went to the lunch break at 1 o'clock. She flicked the slide on her screen and said, and that, folks, was a perfect example of chasing the pain. And I'm going, oh my God, what's chasing the pain? And that was it. You chase the pain around your body. But what you do is, when you get the SUDS levels down, you then go back to a moment in your life, your echo. You don't go back, you take your echo, which is you as a younger version. Now, it could be you 5 minutes ago. It might be you, as I've explained earlier, in the womb. It might be you at 4 or 5 years old.
I like that
might be
term,
past
echo.
lives. Sorry?
Echo. I like the term echo. That's interesting. I haven't heard it, but I like it.
Yeah, and it's never, you don't go back. You look at your echo and you tap on your echo. And what we do is we tap on your echoes back on either side of the spine. It's an energetic, conscious hologram objective or something. I can't remember the exact words. And you just tap on the back and you bring in anything that makes you feel safe. So you could bring in your angels, your spirit animals. If there's somebody that you're dealing with that is causing you trauma, then you could bring a sheet of glass in between your echo and that person, or you could make them really, really small so that you feel in your power still. And then you can talk to them and you can tap on them. And actually, I'm going to come back to the time that I was in my mother's womb. So this was about 2 years after Mum had died. And there had been some bad feeling in the family towards me. And my sisters hadn't really spoken to me for 2 years. And Mum had a do not resuscitate order, and there was some controversy as to whether we called the ambulance, and I didn't want the ambulance called. She was 90 years old, and she absolutely was ready to go and meet her maker. She was very religious. She was looking forward to going, and I wanted her to go. But it was a horrible 3 days of nil by mouth, which was horrific, and so there was a lot of tension. And so they hadn't really spoken to me for a couple of years. And after that day, when I went back into the womb, we re-imprinted. So what matrix re-imprint is you go back, your echo goes back to this situation, and then you re-imprint what has happened, what that trauma was. You bring in all the people that you need to talk to about that trauma. And what I hadn't realized at that moment, till I was in the womb, was that my sisters and my brother and my dad were also put through a huge amount of trauma by their mum being taken away.
Mhm.
And my dad had very, very serious Parkinson's disease and ran a small holding. And my eldest sister, Jan, was, I think she was about 15 at the time, and she had to run the home. And the siblings, my sister Sarah, who's next to me, was 5. And I'd never once in my childhood considered the trauma that they had gone through,
Right.
not having your mum for 6
Yeah.
months, not knowing if you were ever going to have your mum back.
Right. 15 is a young age to have to run a household.
Yeah. Of 5 children and a disabled dad.
Right. Yeah.
And a market garden. And so what I was able to do in the matrix was to bring all of my family in and tap on them all. And I had mum and dad tap on each
Yeah.
other. And then I had my mum go round and tap on all of my siblings and talk to them and explain to them that it wasn't her fault, that she didn't want to be in this institution, and how much she missed them and how devastated she was. And I brought in all of our angels. So we filled the room with
Yeah,
angels.
you're healing the entire family.
And we all tapped on each other and we hugged. And it was after that experience that night, 2 of my sisters phoned me for the
Mhm.
first time in nearly 2 years to ask how I was.
Oh,
And that is the
awesome.
power of
Yeah.
consciousness.
Yeah, it absolutely is. That is a cool story, and you're right. It's amazing, right, when we start doing healing work for ourselves, but we extend it out to others and extend that healing energy to them, and all of a sudden you're getting a phone call, right?
Yep. 2
It's
2 phone calls, not 1, 2.
yeah, that's very, very powerful. I can relate a little bit. And it sounds to me like you're going into a sort of a meditation. Now, I haven't done that. I've done similar work, but not exact. And I haven't with the tapping involved as well. I have done tapping, so kind of separate things. But it makes me think of going into a meditative state to go into that deep arena of consciousness and I can say that I have gone there kind of naturally through meditation where it's it's my heart and my mom's heart and my 3 daughters' heart and my grandmother's heart and kind of all of our hearts joining into one
Mm.
and like kind of healing all of those generations.
Yeah, and that's really, really powerful. I do a wonderful heart-to-heart meditation
Mm,
that I learnt from the beautiful Renara,
yeah.
and who I did a training course with Carl. And it's a fantastic heart-to-heart meditation where you put one hand on your heart and you hold the other hand out, and you visualize the colors moving from your heart down your arm, and you visualize the colors in their heart, and then you visualize those energies coming together and entwining to make the new color. And it's so powerful. And I've done that on people that I've wanted to hear from and haven't heard from. And so I just pop out to the matrix and do the heart to heart. And,
Okay.
9 times out of 10, I get a text or a call.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. So I want to kind of rehash too your experience, this first time experience where you were screaming out and withering in pain and saying, "Call an ambulance." It made me think so much of how we address pain and illness instead of sitting with ourselves and having that move through, just being calm and feeling our body and where that is and where it's coming to, and doing some breath work and some, just sitting with it. Uh, People don't know how to do that. And we're so apt to, oh, I feel this, I need to go to a doctor. I need an immediate fix. And at the same time, when you just sit with yourself and you do some of the work, it's a lot quicker and better and healthier and longer lasting than anything
Well,
else.
that's the key. It's longer lasting because you're
Yeah.
getting to the root cause. And those quick fixes of going to a doctor are exactly what they say. They're the quick fix. So you might get rid of the pain. But, I will say, April, because I think it's really important that, you know, I, it does take work to get there, and you can't do all of this in one go.
Oh,
And
no.
you have to do you have to start with the baby steps. And, when I was learning to kind of walk again, and I wanted to get my balance back, was a really important thing to me.
Mm.
I just held on to my sink in the bathroom when I was cleaning my teeth, and I just held on to it, and I took one foot off the floor at a time. And then eventually I was able to let go one hand at a time on the sink as well. And then eventually I was able to get my balance back. And you have to do these things, a little at a time. But when you're doing something like Matrix Reimprint, it's a big hitter. It is a really big hitter all in one, and it happens quickly. And for that reason, I absolutely wouldn't recommend that anybody does this without a practitioner. So the tapping, I think, is absolutely fine. I tap every day on something. There isn't a day goes by where something doesn't trigger me. And certainly in the last 3 years, it's just like, even though. So, that is absolutely great. You can get the SUDS levels down. As I said, if you get it from a 10 to a 5, you've halved the problem. But, learning to sit and listen to the body, because all of these things happen for you.
Yes.
They don't happen to
Absolutely.
you.
Yep.
And it's your body saying, what you're doing, you need to change this. You need to change this. There's something going on. Find me. I'm here. I'm here. I'm kicking you up the butt and you can't see me. And it's
Mhm.
even if you've just got a sore throat, you should just be going, where's my vitamin C? Where's my vitamin D? Where's my zinc? Where's my lac? Everything is there because the body is telling you something. And when you kind of get into the pickle that I was in, then you have to bring in the big guns.
Yeah.
And for me, that is EFT, Matrix Reimprint. But there are other big guns as well. And you mentioned earlier meditation. And when I thought I couldn't meditate because I'm ADHD and my head's all over the place.
You know what, Philly, I think the majority of people say that, and feel that way, that I can't calm my mind down enough. I can't calm my body down enough.
Absolutely, they do. And what I'd say is, try and turn off that monkey mind. But if you fall asleep, then it's just your body getting out of the way because your mind's having a little go out there. If you're having vivid dreams, your mind's just having a little go out there. Just don't be put off by it. But then I discovered Soma Breathwork. And as you know, I'm trained Soma Breathwork coach. And that to me was a game changer, because that was the power of meditation, breath work, and music. And I love music. And so when you're doing a Soma session, you stand up right at the beginning and you're just shaking, and you just shake it all out and just get it going. And it's just like, oh, yeah. And you just move that body. And then you start the breath work and you go into the rhythmic breathing. And then you do the holds, the breath work in and squeezing on the Mula Bandha, and, get awakening that Kundalini energy. And it is when you do that. So my eldest daughter will not meditate or tap or do anything. And last summer, I had 2 people working at our home on a natural health product. And they said as a thank you, we'd love to do a breathwork meditation with you. And I said, only if you get my daughter to do it. And so they talked her into it, and she's going, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. But she did it. And we went down the garden, and the sun was out, and it was absolutely magical. And at the end of it, she just sat up and went, what the fuck was that? And I said, that, my lovely, is when you connect to the universe and you do the breath work and you do the meditation. And she said, I'm so cross with myself because I wasn't doing the breath work properly the first round, but it was after the meditation on the second one, I kind of thought, oh, actually, I'm quite getting into this. And she said, that was just amazing. I've never felt anything like it in my life, Mum. And I'm going, I know. It's extraordinary.
I love that. So for the audience sake, let's explain a little bit more of what that is. And I heard you describe Kundalini. And so I know a little bit about that, but I would love to dive a little bit deeper. And I agree with you. I think that story is really cool and really powerful, and how you told your daughter that, my love, is you connecting to the universe, because that's exactly what it is. It's us tapping into that energy and connecting in such a way that you feel so expansive and so connected that it's almost undescribable. So many people describe it as the feeling of love, like the greatest love that you have ever experienced, until the next time. And then it's even more intense and even more deep, right? Which is fun and exciting because it just keeps getting better and better.
It does. And that's the really extraordinary thing. Once you start tapping into it, I remember the first time I kind of tapped into it, and I just kind of thought, oh, what's that little rippling in my body? And I could feel tingling. But I could feel this tingling coming up through, right from, the root chakra right the way up. And you actually feel the skin vibrating, and it is quite extraordinary. And then I've had, I don't think I've ever had a full Kundalini awakening. I know I haven't. And I'm working on that, and one thing I will say to
I haven't either. So you're not alone. I think it takes a great amount of practice to reach that.
Yeah, I think it does too. But, what I'd like to say to your audience is that, once you start it and you start that, meditation process, your life transforms beyond all recognition. And when I couldn't meditate, what I did was this little trick called my blessing ball of light. Do you know my blessing ball of light? Do you do that one?
I don't. I would love to hear.
Oh, I love this. So you just rub your hands together like that and just feel the energy. And then you hold it in front of your heart together.
Yeah.
And pulsate in and out. And you just feel that ball of energy in front of your heart, because your heart is your electromagnetic field. It has 40,000 sensors. And you just feel that energy. I can feel that energy shooting all the way down my arm, just doing that now. Oh,
it's so intense.
It is so intense.
I encourage the audience to do this, because I have done this technique many times. However, I haven't heard it termed as that. So I love the title.
Well, what I do is I do that every morning, and I call it my day. And then I put into it what I want for my day.
Ooh, I would like that. You're putting into your bowl what you want from the day.
Yep. That's my blessing ball of light, and that's my day. And you can run your day, or your day will run you. Yeah. And, in the last 3 years, I have written and published a book. I have written and recorded a meditation album. I have written and filmed a series of videos based on the book on how to heal. I've started a podcast. I can't believe what I have done. This middle-aged woman that's kind of meant to be in her bed asleep because she won't take thyroxine. And you kind of go, yeah, that's because I put it into my day.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. You have given so many cool tips and tricks. We'll move into one of our commercials, and when we get back, I can't wait to hear more.
Thank you.
Stay tuned.
Hello, everyone. I am Kim Jacobs, the host of The Kim Jacobs Show, and you all know who's right here with me, Dr. Les Brown. How are you, Dr. Brown?
I'm blessed and highly favored. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the time you want to give yourself a competitive edge. If you got a message, you have some knowledge or experience, a story, or if you want to do something adventurous and exciting with your life that can increase your credibility, expose you to millions of people, I'm encouraging you to have your own talk show. I used to have a talk show. That one talk show catapulted me to another level. Now there are more people watching the internet, as you are aware, than television.
Yes.
Come on, somebody.
That's right.
Dr. Kim Jacobs, she trained people on how to have their own talk show. She will train you how to do that. And now with me working, partnering with her, now you have the combination of an audience, expansive audience. We have over 4 million people in all of our platforms, and the coaching you need to grow your business, to grow your multi-level marketing organization, to draw more attention to yourself in this noisy economy. Go ahead, Kim.
So in the training that I do, Les, I actually do a 6-week training. It's 1 hour per week. And each week I meet with the individuals one-on-one. We go through and we talk about all of the things that's necessary for a show to become a reality. We go from how to actually identify your focus area, what's going to be your ideal customer that's going to be tuning in. We'll talk about how to get guests, how to get sponsorship, how to go about getting your lighting, your branding, and your banners, and everything that you need to know. And guess what, Les? They own their own content at the end of the day.
And that's exciting. Now, if you're ready to create a shift in your business and in your life and increase your cash flow, I want you to go to KimJacobsConsulting.com. It's right there on the screen, KimJacobsConsulting.com. You know, people say opportunity knocks on every door. Right. No, opportunity stands by silently waiting for you to recognize it. So I want you to recognize that this is a time for you. This is an incredible time to have your own talk show. It establishes a level of credibility.
Yes.
And by being exposed to people on a regular basis, it allows you to strategically begin to impact and attract your audience. She can take you in a place in yourself that you can't go by yourself. So go to KimJacobsConsulting.com. That's KimJacobsConsulting.com. Did I say KimJacobsConsulting.com? Yes, you did. Very good. Make sure you go there and sign up for the coaching, and we're looking forward to working with you. You have something special. You have greatness within you. That's my story, and that's Kim's story, and we're sticking to it. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
So welcome back. That's one of my favorite commercials because Kim Jacobs is my coach and she was coached by the famous Les Brown. So also it's very much in alignment with you and I, Philly. We have branched out. We have our own shows, our own talk shows, our own podcasts, and we do get to make those connections and share our story and our journeys. And I think that's one of the most powerful things that anybody can do is to start to share their journeys. And as I was reflecting on your story, Philly, it makes me think about you had this near-death experience, and then you had a series of chronic illnesses. And to me, it just sounds like, you know, your higher self really trying to just awaken you to who you are now. Because if you didn't experience those things, then you wouldn't be where you are now.
Absolutely. And I am so grateful now for everything that has happened to me. And I think the thing that really, really struck me, you know, when 2020 happened, I would never have written a book, but I was just kind of wanting everyone. I was thinking, if everybody knows what I know, nobody would be in fear. And I just wanted desperately to pass on this information that I'd learned over this period of time. And I thought, how can I do this? How can I do this? And I thought, I'll write a book. And then I kind of thought, I'm dyslexic. No, I'm not writing a book. But after my dear friend Polly died, I had gone for a tarot reading. Now, I don't know why I went for a tarot reading, and I hadn't ever been for one before, but I went in to buy a little angel, crystal angel that I wanted to send to somebody. And while I was paying, somebody walked in and said, "Oh, can I have a reading? Can I have a reading?" And they went, "Oh, yes, go out the bag." And I kind of said, what reading on what? And she said, "Oh, we do tarot." And I said, "Oh, can I have a reading?" And she said, "No, we're fully booked." Right, okay. The lady in front of me was quite a well-known actor in the UK. So, but she said, "You can come back in at 5 o'clock it was, because they closed at 7 or something." And normally it was midday, and normally I'd just go home and nah. But for some reason that day, I really wanted a tarot reading. And I went back, and all the cards were absolutely spot on. I could understand. So I'm passionate about essential oils. I'm passionate about herbs. I'm passionate about gardening and clean food, and, you know, everything to do with the land. But then she read one card and said, "You're going to write a book." And I went, "No, I'm not." And she went, "No, you are." I went, "No, I'm not." I'm sorry, that is so wrong. But when I did that first EFT course, people kept coming up to me all day and going, "When's the book coming out?" I'm going, "I'm not writing a book." They go, "Oh, you are." And it was just like, oh my God. And so, you know, as I said, in 2020, it's just like, how do I get this information out to people? How do I show people all the amazing things that you can do to heal yourself?
Yeah, because you witnessed what would be said as miraculous.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I remember the first time I went back to my GP, about 2 years later, and after refusing the thyroxine, and I walked in, and he was on his computer, and he said, "Oh, one moment, Philippa," which is my real name, but nobody calls me Philippa. He said, "One moment, Philippa," and I sat down, and he kind of spun the chair around and said, "So what can I?" And he nearly fell off the chair, and he just went, "Oh my God, what's happened to you?" And I said, "What?" And I kind of thought, "Oh, is my tit hanging out or something?" Do you know what I mean? Kind of, am I not properly covered because it was summer?
Because he was in a shock.
And he was in such shock. And he said, "You look 10 years younger. You've lost, like," because I was really, really obese over this, you know, bordering on obese over this period of time. I was big. I didn't leave my bed.
I can't even picture you that way. Do you have pictures?
I didn't let anybody take pictures. I have one picture at my mother's funeral. But, you know, it wasn't just, you know, I wouldn't have pictures. I didn't want to be near anybody. I mean, I didn't even go down for my daughter's cake. I didn't want to be near anybody. I was so disgusted and so full of self-hate and self-loathing. And just, I could not believe the woman that I'd become. It just broke my heart. I mean, literally broke my heart. And my doctor was just so gobsmacked, and he was just going, I can't believe this. Will you sit down? One day, will you spend half a day with me and tell me what you've done? Because I do not understand this. And I said, "Yeah, okay, I will do." But then 2020 came, and I thought, well, I'm going to do better than telling my GP, because, you know, he can pass it on to a few hundred people. I'm going to write the book. So I was on a Hay House writers course. And I put my hand up in the chat to read Tracy, the CEO. And I got picked, obviously 1,000 people on the course and maybe 10 questions answered over the weekend. But I am a shit hot manifester. Because when you learn to meditate, you know, you really do become
Really drawn in that energy.
Oh,
Absolutely.
absolutely. So I put my hand up and he picked me and I said, I'm going to write a book and I'm going to publish it before Christmas. And this was October the 16th, 2020. And he just laughed and said, good luck with that. And I didn't know that it normally takes 2 years to write and publish a book. Nobody had told me that part.
Mm.
And so I kind of thought, because I told him I was going to publish before Christmas, I was going to do it. And so I kind of took to my bed again and I wrote kind of 17, 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. And
Wow.
I had paid for an editor, but I had to relinquish and sign a letter off on December the 21st, the winter solstice, age of Aquarius. And I had to sign a letter off to say that I had forfeited my editor because I was going to put it out straight away. I didn't want the editorial service. And so I said to Balbo, who were publishing it, I said, can you get it out before Christmas? And they went, oh, you know, it's normally 2 weeks, but we will mark it urgent. And I'm like, okay. I said, could you contact Amazon and ask them to put it up as a pre-order? And they just laughed and said, no, there is no way that Amazon are going to put a pre-order up for a first-time self-published author. It cannot happen. And they said, and anyway, it's a completely different format. So once we've got it up, they have to reformat it, and that takes 2 weeks. So that is not happening. Get that out your head. I'm like, okay. And then because it was the winter solstice, the day, the age of Aquarius, and I was knackered. I mean, I can't tell you how tired I was on. And I didn't have much sleep, but I made sure that I had meditation breaks. And I was channeling the book anyway. And I lay down on my bed and I was just doing everything that I could possibly do to relax, get rid of the stress, and to visualize my book on Amazon. And I did soma breath work, obviously. I did tapping, I did meditation, I did didgeridoo, which I my first and only time on didgeridoo. And that was amazing. The power of sound is just, my God, that's a big old flute. And so all I did was kept visualizing my book on Amazon. And on the 23rd of December, I had a look on Balboa's site, and there I was, and I was up. I was published before Christmas. So I knew that one day I was going to meet Reed Tracy, look him in the eye, and go, hand him my book.
I did it.
I did it, which I have since done last year. But
well, speaking of energy, I had a comment come through, and so I'll have you answer this. Hillary says, you mentioned the energy coming from the root chakra. Does the energy run, I think she's meant to say, through all the chakras?
The energy does. And the root chakra is obviously in your base, and that's the first years of your life. And so they're energetic balls that go up through the body, and they don't have to just be spinning perfectly as their little balls, but they need to be spinning in alignment at the same energies. So some of the chakras could be, spinning too fast, some too slow, and aligning the chakras is what is really important. But I always start with my root chakra, going from the early years of your life before the age of 3, and then moving up your sacral and all the rest of it until you reach your crown. My tumor in my throat, I absolutely believe, was because my throat chakra was blocked, because I felt that nobody was hearing me after the operation. I just wanted to scream the whole time. The surgeon that brought me round from the anesthetic, when I had to go back in and next see him, he said, I've never heard a scream like that before in my life, ever. I don't know where that came from. It wasn't from this planet, and I can still hear that scream. And so, aligning those chakras is vitally important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Does that answer the question, or would you like more?
I think it sounded like an answer. I'll let the audience let me know if it did, but Yeah, absolutely. That energy runs through every single one of them, and until we get to the crown. And I haven't, I gotta say, I haven't necessarily heard of it through the age groups, but really more the first three are more of the physical aspects of us, right? That survival and all to that. But you can certainly feel the energy move through you as your intention lies on each one. But, definitely, I think that you would always start at that root.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a meditation album out actually, on which you can find on my webpage, and I have written a meditation on the chakra system and going up and getting them into alignment. And even though I say it myself, it is actually a really good meditation, because just getting that alignment going and
Yep.
feel your body just moving as one, and those energetic organs, they are your energetic organs. And I did this
Yeah.
really weird thing last year. I went along to try out a piece of kit. I've got a social media post up on it actually, and you put your finger into this little camera, and it reads your energetic organs, your chakras. And so I put my finger in, and my chakras were all over the place. I mean, they were just like polar opposites, all over the place. And then you lie on this couch afterwards, and they put these wonderful glasses and headphones on you. And there's kind of, you close your eyes, but there's lights flashing, and you can hear this beautiful music. And it's a treatment. And then you go back and put your finger in the camera again, and they re-photograph your chakras, and I was almost spot on
Mm-hmm.
in alignment. I mean, I had one, I think my sacral was still a little bit out, but I mean, they have been manic, because my life has been pretty manic for the last 3 years doing all of this.
Yeah.
But it was just the power of those kind of lights and that music to bring you back into alignment.
Music is so powerful. It just, I mean, we could have a whole segment on that. And I think that it's so fascinating and beautiful. I love the day and age we're living in. And I don't know what you think about that, Philly, but just the fact that we can measure all of it and see that, oh yeah, it's real, it's there. So not only do you get to really feel what it feels like through each center, but you really see that they're there because they're measurable. And in fact, they're their own little brains, and it just goes deeper and deeper.
Yeah, they're all measurable, and there's loads of different ways of measuring your energy, and it's incredible. I mean, I don't know if you know the HeartMath Institute at all.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they've been measuring it for a long time now.
Yeah.
And now their equipment only measures it for kind of 2 meters around you, but that's just because that's what their equipment is.
Mhm.
But I know a horse whisperer who works with energy, and she was called out with a little machine that was sending out an energetic wave to some horses, some foals that a trainer had just got, and was finding it impossible to break these foals in. And so she called this horse whisperer in, who brought her little gadget and just an electric, an energetic sound. But the foals wouldn't come anywhere near the fence. And the owner said it's too dangerous to go into the field because they're going to kick you. So we can't go in. But have a look, see if you can think of anything we can do. And she said, I'll just turn my machine on. And after about 10 minutes, the foals just calmed right down and then started walking towards the fence. So, that isn't a scientific experiment. It isn't a blind double placebo effect, controlled, whatever it is. And this is what really annoys me. You were talking earlier about the fact that, everybody, the minute they're ill, they don't sit with it. They want a pill for all ill. They want a solution. But the reason they do was the whole system was put in place so that we can't do, it's much harder for us to prove the power of sound or plants or tapping. And I think the only person really that has done it hugely successfully is Dr. Emoto with his scientific experiments with water, freezing water in the berry dishes. And I actually worked with the Emoto Institute and his son Hiro on the book. And I have 8 photographs of his in the book, which was just wonderful to do. I mean, I just could not believe that I was getting emails from Hiro Emoto going, "Oh, I was a big fan of your dad." Yeah, so, but you know, if you look up his works, and it's mind-blowing. And it wasn't just you know, he did it with prayer, he did it with thought, he did it with music, he did it with essential oils, you know, kind of so many ways, you know, just proving that water holds our energy, that it's energetic, you know. I love it. I love this. I cannot believe what I've learned on this journey. It has shocked me to the core.
Is there anything that, go ahead. You must.
Yeah, no, I need to finish my story because you
Okay.
asked me the question. So I had published my book and it was up before Christmas, and I told you that, and I was really chuffed, and I knew I could read Tracy in the eye. But then on Boxing Day, I said to my daughter, "I'm just going to check on Amazon." And she went, "Oh, so, you know, don't be so stupid. It's not going to be up on Amazon." And I went, "I just got to check. I just got to check." And so I checked on Amazon, and there was my book as a pre-order. And the published date is December the 21st, 2020, the day I signed it off.
Wow.
How does that happen?
Strong intention.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I know, really strong. I mean, it's just
so yeah, and that's just the point, right? That's why we want so badly to share these things, because again, it feels like what the common people say, what we all say and claim to be miraculous, and those are the types of things that are happening, and you just want to shout it out to the world, like, you wouldn't believe this, but this is what's happening because of.
Yeah, no, why we don't, well, they don't want us to know this because there's no money in healthy people. You know, we come into our own power. But, you know, I'm like yourself, a woman on a mission to get this information out there, because everybody should know, you know, these incredible powers that we have within us.
So I want to make sure that everybody knows how to reach you. And I do have it up on the screen, and most of you are going to be watching the replay. So be sure to check the description below as well if you're listening to this. But you can learn more, reach more, check out her journal. It's really an awesome put together journal full of information. I mean, it's not, it's not.
I should share my book.
You should. It's because it's not just a journal. I mean, you have so much information, so much knowledge, so much wisdom, so many tips and tricks. Hey, try this. This is a resource that you can go to. And like you said at the very beginning, I like to point people in the direction of what is free to do. Tapping is free. Meditation is free. Breath work is free. All you have to do is learn how and start practicing and put the action behind it.
Absolutely. So, and so many people put free resources out. And so any name that I've mentioned in the book is there for a really, really good reason. So even if I don't say, check out this TED talk or check out this podcast or read this book, if I've put a name in there, look that person up, because their work is mind-blowing.
Right. Yeah. There is so much out there, and there's no excuse to not do it unless you just choose not to, right? And that's okay. That's, everybody has a choice, and that's the beauty of free will.
Yep.
So www.phillyjlay.com. That is PHILLYJLAY.com. And It has been such a pleasure to have you on the show today, Philly. Is there anything else you want to share with our audience today?
I just want to say congratulations on the podcast and thank you for having me on. It has been an absolute joy. I'm in the UK and we're coming up to 11 o'clock at night, and I feel as perky as if it was 9 o'clock in the morning because I've had such fun. Thank you, my lovely.
You're welcome. It truly was a joy to have you. Thank you so much for sharing your stories and your journey. And I invite everyone to check out your show because you've had some incredible guests on the show as well. So
Thank you.
thank you again. And I want to say goodbye to everyone for now, and I will see you tomorrow.
Goodbye, everyone.
Beautiful.